This is Eve Mosher. She's not doing construction and she's not putting in speed bumps. She's an artist, and she's hitting New York City streets as part of a citywide art project to show how the city's landscape could be affected by climate change.
This is just some information about how we can each take action individually or within our community to keep climate change from happening, from this scenario from happening. Because you'd be ashamed you do all this work and then it all gets wiped out.
It's called the High Water Line Project, but it's not the kind of art most people think of, and that's what she wants. Because Eve's paintbrush is a ball field chalker, known as the heavy hitter.
My name is Eve Mosher, and I am doing the High Water Line Project in New York City. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this chalker around all of Brooklyn and Lower Manhattan and marking with a chalk line the 10-foot above sea level line.
The 10-foot line Eve is talking about represents the height floodwaters could reach in New York City in the not-so-distant future with rising sea levels and more frequent severe storms.
What today would have a likelihood of occurring maybe once in 100 years, in the future, depending on what scenario you're using, and I think in the study we had, you know, it was something like 1 in 60 years to 1 in every 4 years for this area. And so it would have a much greater likelihood of occurrence.
Here's the line Eve drew around the World Trade Center site. All this new construction, these buildings, Battery Park, all of it would be underwater.
You know, the World Trade Center site represents for a lot of us a very destructive act that was imposed upon the Americans by someone else. And the climate change is something that can be equally destructive, but it's something that we have more power in keeping it from happening.
Eve's art was inspired by science. A 2001 study published by scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute of Space Studies at Columbia University found that the types of storms which can cause massive flooding may become more frequent in the New York metropolitan area thanks to climate change.
The most drastic effect that would be noticeable to the ordinary person is that the incidence of such flooding would become more frequent.
The blue line represents water. It's subtle and it's temporary.
The chalk represents the fact that that's changeable.
So taken in perspective, the line really shows how much there could be to lose.
And even when you look at it on like a map online, you're like, oh look, it goes in 3 blocks. But then you come out here and you see it's 3 blocks that have all these residences, and there's a high school, and there's this gorgeous park, and it becomes, I think, a lot more important to see it on the street.
For Discovery News, I'm Casey D. Gardner.
Watch out.